Good evening and welcome to our edition of Conversations with Entrepreneurs. Tonight we have our panel of entrepreneurs. We'll start tonight with Julie. Hey Julie, how you doing this evening?
Hello, good evening, everyone.
And Jeff.
Hey everybody, nice to see you.
And Chanel.
Hello, good evening.
And Dion.
Hello, everyone.
So this has been a great week of a lot of historical things going on, guys. So I thought it would be nice to at least first congratulate Kamala Harris on being the first African-American woman on a ticket. So not to discuss the politics, but the historical nature of her being chosen to be a VP in the upcoming election. So I think that was a really nice thing to see for young women of color, minorities, and women in general, just to finally see us at the table, at the bigger table, at the higher table. So I'm looking forward to how that works out. But at the end of the day, she has made history. And so I just wanted to give her a shout out about that. How, did anybody else want to speak on that at all?
I think it is awesome. Just like you said, for a woman in general. I mean, we were all excited about Hillary a couple of years ago, just to see, a woman in that role, or even just being considered in that role. So as a woman, as a Black woman, and as a mother with daughters, this just really excites me. We see the disparities. There are not many women in a lot of leadership roles or executive roles. In politics, never mind women of color or African-American women. So I was really excited to see that as well. It gives me hope, and it definitely gives my daughters something to kind of look up to see that they have an opportunity as well. So I was excited.
I agree. Anybody else?
I definitely want to give way to Julie first.
No, I commend and ditto everything that Chanel and Alethea have said. It's going to be a big task for her. I know she is well equipped, being an attorney as well. So it does give hope and encouragement, and helps empower other women that they can do whatever they set their mind to. It's going to be a challenge, but I think as long as she continues to build her support system, prayerfully she'll be okay. So congratulations.
I agree. Dion?
Yeah, seeing her do her acceptance speech pretty much already with Vice President Biden, it was moving. She's clearly very smart. She's very strong. She seems very intentional. Even some other things relative to her track record getting there, they just seem to be change. You see a change with her pattern. And, like Julie said, this, I'm sure I could never capture it in words, but I can't imagine the weight of what she is just attempting to do. It is very obvious in this country that the other ism that this country is built on is sexism. And, we were excited about Hillary after a Barack and things of that nature, just because of, the hope of what it could look like, and the timing with everything going on right now. And like you said, without getting into the politics, Alethea, it's refreshing to see someone, and she just is very equipped. I mean, I don't know, logically and idealistically, if you keep in score, I don't know who could beat her in points just to do the job, relative to even who's there now. So it is very refreshing, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to participating with her. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to commend her, and she's an inspiration to, women and girls around the world, because I mean, look at her background. She went to HBCU, has a sorority, and she's just like everybody else, but what separates her is her hard work and dedication. Now, you may or may not like her, but you have to respect the hard work, ambition, and work ethic. So you can apply that to your life and say, wow, she can do it with her hard work and her vision, even when other people probably didn't like her or didn't think she could. Here she is. So you can use that as inspiration. And I think she's an inspiration to everyone. So, like I said, whether you like her or you don't, you have to respect where she came from, and what she's doing and what she's about to do. So I'm very happy for her. And I think she's just a trendsetter for, women and girls of, all ages around the world. Because if she can do it, you can do it too. And that's how I look at it. So I'm happy for her, and I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Mhm. I'll be excited to see it. I definitely is sort of in motion to continue to live out the Shirley Chisholm legacy of what she accomplished, so she can take it to the next level. That would be nice to see. So,
I would like to mention too how long overdue this is.
yeah.
It's just, this is not the first amazing woman of color. We don't even want. I just, if we go there, this whole topic may turn to something. But this is not the first amazing woman of color, even, let alone woman. Period, female, that has ascended, gone through the ranks. They've put in the work, like Jeff said, the hard work, to get to certain places, and get to certain places and experience the old barriers that try to stop them, like at the first place. And it's just long overdue. And that is some of the excitement of now seeing her, it's like seeing President Obama, and without making it about men and women, but seeing him, it was clearly long overdue. And he was highly efficient and equipped and just ready to do the job. You couldn't get no one better. And that's what I think Kamala Harris represents. Like Jeff, that was a great word, trendsetter. That's what made me think about the time. You know what I mean? Because trying to establish something even in this moment, it still is it's long overdue. And I'm very thankful we get to see it and participate with it as well. Absolutely.
And let me say this. I'm sorry, Lee, let me say this real quick. When you see someone who looks like you doing something amazing, then that lets you know, hey, I can do it too. So, and then it just breaks down a mental barrier, let you know, because a lot of times people say, oh, you can't do that because it's never been done. Well, first off, you should never have that attitude. But now that someone has done it, that should let you know that you can do it. And to see her do it, like I say, look at her background, her beginnings. Look at what school she went to. How many people went to her same school? How many people who plays her sorority? If she can do it, then you can do it too. So your background can be a springboard to many different things, no matter how humble you think it is.
I agree. And I think the other thing too is how some very good things kind of just don't make it to mainstream media. And so case in point would be, Jeff, I think I shared an article with you of this young lady who started like a business, teenager, barbecue sauce, I think it was, right? It was barbecue sauce. And so you have these stories, just like with Jeff and his class with the young kids with the entrepreneurship, right? You have stories like that where kids are, starting their own businesses, and all those things aren't getting. And I think if we start getting to the point where different generations are being exposed to more knowledge of what is possible, can be, and will be, if they have it in their mind, in their mindset, and exposed to it. It's easy for Jeff to have the classes and tell the kids about the entrepreneurship, but then to have people, teenagers or young kids, that he can say, well, this person is your age and she was able to. So you never know what you can do if you don't have exposure to, one, that it can be done, or two, to be motivated to do it. And I think there are a lot of stories untold that can actually help motivate people. Julie's nodding. I was like, I thought she wanted to say something.
Alethea, I wanted to go back to something Dion said about sexism.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that we recognize just equality. Um, I think, I don't know if it was this week or last week, was Black Women's Equal Pay Day.
Yeah, so something like that.
And pretty much what that is that Black women are paid 62 cents for every dollar a white man is paid. White women, 77 cents to every dollar a white man is paid. So I think it's time, and I think we've been having these conversations, but it's good to see more African-American men and women in leadership roles, leading these, Fortune 500, 5,000, whatever companies. Like you said, if I see it, I feel more apt to believe that I can achieve it.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad to see her in this type of positions. It's really empowering, like Julie said, and inspiring for us all. We think about our ancestors and grandparents and great-grandparents. This was unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing that a lot on LinkedIn. Black women being, put into positions as CEOs of companies that never had a person of color or even a woman in that role. So the trends is setting. Let's see how far they're going to take it. But I agree with you, Chanel. We need to see a lot more of it. We definitely need
just in diversity and inclusion roles. I've been seeing a lot of that now. Companies, I think it's great. You want to be diverse, you want to be inclusive, but let's not just throw, your Black coworker in this role because they're a Black coworker and you want to be more diverse and inclusive. So I get it, it's great, but I think it's more than that. You know what I mean? It's deeper than those type of positions. Yeah. We could be CEOs, we could be CFOs, we could be your, director of operations and all those things. So I don't think it needs to be narrow-minded or narrow-sided.
Yeah.
Thinking about
I think too, I ditto everything you say, Chanel. That is spot on. And just think about the challenges that women have had. Not only in business, but in life period, of just being taken seriously, right, about anything. And, and then owning your own accomplishments, right? I wouldn't say all of us are, but a big percentage of people of color don't own their own accomplishments and, readily share that. And so her being in the position that she is in, oh my God, it is definitely so, it makes you just, hold your shoulders up just a little bit more and make you feel like, yeah, I can do this. But I think, and I want to tap into what Jeff is getting into with the Entrepreneurs for the Kids. It has to be a seed that's planted early.
Yes.
You have to plant that seed early with children and let them know and give them all the resources and pour into them that, you can do. Now, it's just not a statement that you can do whatever you want to. You really can do what you want to if you put your mind to it. And, if you have a faith and a trust in God, depending on what religion you are, whoever your higher power is, if you, trust in that, yeah, you can do whatever you want to. So very encouraging.
I think the other end of the spectrum is unrealistic expectations. Just because we made it to a level of power, we cannot put a burden on that person's back that now they're going to fix everything and change everything so that everybody else can follow in that footstep, right?
That's very considerate of you.
So, and a lot of that, I think Obama got a lot of backlash as well. He do nothing for us, so a lot of people figure once they get in power, if this particular person's in power, some people have this mindset, oh yeah, she's gonna make some changes here. And no, she still has to do and follow through. She can implement some policies that can open doors, but she just can't sit there and start changing everything and everybody else is, sitting at those particular tables. So I think sometimes when we see people in power, we're expecting them to be able to immediately make some changes so that everybody else can do. And sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. A lot of times they still have to go by what the company's policies are, and then implement new programs that can open doors for people in different roles and so forth. But we shouldn't have that burden on their back.
I'm glad you said that, because you're absolutely right. Because, you know, when they're doing their debates and everything, and you're talking about, well, when I get in office and I'm going to implement this policy and I'm going to do that policy and blah, blah, blah. Great that you got it on paper, but you can't do it alone, because you still got to go through Congress and all of that kind of stuff. So, and we all know that. We all know, we all get it. But yeah, she's going to need a great network, and I think she has it.
I think so too. I think so too.
Letha, you brought up a good point, and I think we see that just kind of in C-suite or corporate level as well. You know, we finally have worked our way up to this leadership role, and it took us so long. We worked so hard, and we're finally here. And we want to bring our other brown brothers and sisters up with us, but sometimes I think it's like, okay, well, I've worked so hard, I may not want to jeopardize my role or my position, or you're capped. Now we let one in. We're not, you know, there's only, you know, a couple seats at the table that we're going to fill, you know, and I don't want to go too deep into it, but it is real. You know, it happens, you know, so often, and it does take time.
Yeah.
But I think, let's talk about that though, Chanel, because, you know, while it may be the spotlight more so for people of color, that does happen, or the spotlight is on people of color more when that happens. They get to a certain level, right? And they try to bring someone in and something falls through the crack. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. But when the other side do the same thing and bring up, and they fall through the cracks, what happens? So why is the spotlight more so on one side than it is the other?
I know when
listen, Julie, the thing that you and Chanel and Alethea are pointing out, I mean, I can only imagine how being a Black woman and having to think through these things daily. It is a fact that there are more women than men in the entire earth. It is a fact that nobody's been more educated in the last 50 to almost 100 years than women, and Black women specifically. And then to have to think through some of these things like you're talking about, because oftentimes what people want when you get somewhere that they haven't been, that they would like to go, or they would like representation, it's not that network, that professional, intelligent network they're looking for, Julie. It's what we see going on now. It's a hookup. We see that going on now, up there right now. People are getting hooked up into positions because of who they know. It's not if they're equipped. It's not if they're ethical. It's not if they're of a certain ideology that separates and divides, and one person is here and there. So yes, I can only imagine how a woman of color specifically would feel, you know, because people do what you said, Alethea. You there, do everything for us right now. And like you all have said, you know, and I'm gonna digress a whole lot, because I really would, you know, I learn the more I talk to not just the men that are influential in my life, but the women, which is, it tends to be a different number, and that number being more. It's a lot of influential women that speak smart and nurturing and caring and holistic and wholesome and things of that nature. And so people want to hook up oftentimes. They don't want to do the networking. They don't want to work together. They want you to fast forward them past trial and error and certain places that especially Black women have had to deal with. I'm going to say this note, and I promise you, Jeff, I'm going to be done. This is it. Jeff, this is my Black history note for the day. Jeff, you don't believe me. I'm not going to be done, am I? I ain't going to be done telling you.
He's going to be done, Jeff.
So
He's going to be done.
it is proven, it is proven by mitochondrial DNA that Black women are the being that creates every other being, human being, every other race, every other ethnicity, every other type of person. It's men give off the chromosome that determines gender, but through a woman, specifically Black women, they are the Mother Earth, the creator, a certain way. They get the creation comes through them. How much frustrating is that solically in your mind, your heart, all the other stuff, and go out the door, get a degree, and get a barrier put in your face because you're not white and you're not a man. 62 cents on the dollar. That's what Chanel said. That's almost half.
So there is a backlash to it. And so I put this scenario out, right? So I work for the city. The director for the department that I was in, she brought me on board. I knew her before, but I didn't know she worked for the city at the time I was called in for an interview. And so she brought me in, was part of the project management team and so forth. And there were a lot of women on. So I reported to a Black woman. She was the director of the PMO. And so there were a lot of women, white and Black, that she put us in the senior project management roles. And she put, particularly me when I first came in, she put me on a high profile project so that I could get in front of other people. And I really didn't like being in front of the CIO and all those people, but she put me there. I was the lead IT project manager for the Blue Line train system that runs through Charlotte right now, right? And so that was a very hard job. But when she left the company about 2.5 years later, the man that they promoted into her role was also part of the team. And when he got that role, we started seeing what he really thought of us. He didn't feel that us Black women should be in those senior lead roles for project management. And he literally pulled us off of high profile projects that we were working with. He just literally, she left in March, and by October, I was the 4th person that left that team. So sometimes they can get there, they can do things, they can make moves to help us, kind of grow and, show our skill set, but then somebody can come right behind them, just as the same as the elections does, and just undo all of the growth that's done. And we always have to be mindful of that, even though they may make some changes to help us get to certain turning points. So it's going to be somebody that comes back behind them and try to just dismantle it because they just don't feel that something should be. So we look forward to the opportunities, but we always have to be reminded somebody can always come back and with a pen, Black or blue, can just write that right on the way. Jeff been nodding for about how long? I mean, Jeff been nodding. He ain't said nothing yet. I think somebody check and see. Is you watching TV, Jeff? Because I'm really.
No, my mother told me don't interrupt people when they talking. And so everyone's been talking and I've been listening. And I need to start taking notes like Julie because y'all done said so much good stuff that I done lost track of. I don't even know where to begin. Y'all talking about politics and Obama, but I'll say this real quick. A lot of people, we put too much stock into politics and what we expect them to do. Like, for example, when people criticize Obama, say he didn't do nothing for us, and my response is always the same. Well, what was he supposed to do? What laws do we not have on file that we need to put on file? Everything that we are able to do or should do is available to us in this country legally by law. Unfortunately, some people via unscrupulous means try to hold us back from certain positions, living in certain areas, getting raises. The laws are there, but it's implementing them with certain people. That's the problem. So people, they look at the politicians and they expect them to be our saviors. They're not kings. They're politicians, like everyone else is saying. They still have to go through Congress. They still have to go through, all types of lobbyists and all that. And then you got the majority who may be for or against. So what do you expect them to do? They can only do so much. At the end of the day, you got to start looking out for yourself. You have no choice to start looking out for yourself. You can't sit back and be like, oh, you know, Kamala's in and we good. No, we not good. We still got issues that we need to work on, that we need to do for ourselves, that we need to step up, get off our butts and work hard and do them ourselves, no matter who is president, no matter who's vice president, whether it's Democrat, Republican, whatever. Stop using that as an excuse that everything's going to be all right. No, it's going to be all right when you start working hard and doing it yourself. It doesn't matter who is in the White House. You need to get up and do it yourself. Chicago, I was in Chicago I lived in Chicago my whole life. We had Democrats in charge, we had Republicans in charge, and it was still a mess. Let's just call it what it was. Chicago been a mess since Al Capone. Al Capone was a white mobster who did drive-bys in Chicago, but all of a sudden Chicago is bad because, you know, Black people are just doing whatever. No, it's always been a mess, and it's always been that way, no matter who was in charge. So at the end of the day, you got to start working on yourself and focusing on you and not waiting on someone else to take care of you. And I'm just going to stop right there before I get too worked up.
I'm going to say one word, and I'm curious to how Jeff and Dion is going to respond. Now, Julie, I know we said we weren't going to talk about politics. And so I'm trying not to talk about politics. But this one word right here just may change it just a little bit. And if it does, I'm sorry. But it just popped in my head because of what Jeff just said.
The show is unmasked. I'm sorry. We unmasked it. Chanel, you started it because you didn't want to open that can. So
I know, right?
Yes, this is her fault. So Julie, put that in the notes. It's her fault.
So here's the word, reparations. Just face, Dion face, we gonna mute Dion. That face just tells me something. I don't think, no. Did Julie leave?
Julie said, I'm out of here. Julie said, I'm out.
Listen,
Julie got another call.
Already know. I promise you, I'm not going to take the top of this because I'm not coming back. I'm going to let the top of this go. I'm going to catch the end. I'm going to stop right now.
I'm sick of y'all.
Hey, I'm out. You okay over there, Julie?
No, I am. That conversation would take more than an hour. So I'm gonna tiptoe back and oh.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna tiptoe back too.
I didn't mean to open that can of worms. I didn't mean to open that can of worms. I didn't mean that, but
that's not.
I'm gonna tiptoe back, because you're right. I will say this: some of the challenge that reparations presents is because we maybe could calculate like an exact bill almost relative to the 40 acres and a mule calculation or whatever that turns into. We may could calculate a certain bill. Some of the challenge is not just fighting through whatever you'd have to do to get through that. But I don't need a handout, you know? And when I say that, I just want to be very careful when I say that, because that becomes a tool of manipulation. You know, they have called, I've heard some, Jeff used a great word, unscrupulous. I've heard some unscrupulous people say that welfare and Medicaid and a lot of the things that I deal with all the time relative to my direct contracting and the work I do in mental health, they say that is the reparations. And it's because of the way they view things and stuff like that. So I would just like to say that. And yes, Julie, I'm tiptoeing, Julie. I'm out. Because I can't get on it.
Yeah, but so there were slaves that was given reparations. So you really can't try to like use that to calculate it either, type thing. And yes, I heard about the whole welfare was supposed to have been it, but it wasn't just reparations for Black people when they came up with welfare. Welfare was also for the lower income white people who had lost their land and couldn't do other little different things. So welfare just can't be labeled just for minorities, Black and brown, no. There was just as many white people that needed the welfare services and still utilize those welfare services, just like black and brown people. Sorry, Julie.
I want to say, and I have to check my facts, but I believe there are more whites getting food stamps and Medicaid than black and brown people. I'll fact check that.
Yeah.
But I think
Count those rural areas.
I agree with you. I don't want a handout. I just want equality. I want to be treated fairly and equal, just like you would treat the next person, regardless of their skin color, and their background, their ethnicity. That's it. Bottom line is just equality. Don't treat me any less. Sometimes I'm more qualified. Sometimes I bring more experience. Sometimes I could do the job 10, 20 times better. But that's it. That's the bottom line at the end of the day is what I think about.
Julie? Because she's been staying muted because I didn't.
No, I agree. And I'm 100% with what Chanel said. I just want to be treated fairly and given the same opportunity as the next person. My qualifications and my gifts and my skills, along with yours, can make millions, can make an empire. So treat me as though you would treat your neighbor. And I'm not going to go to biblically there. We'll leave that alone.
Yeah, that was a really a good take back on that. I think some people probably really appreciate that feedback because you'll be amazed of what people get stuck in their head and they just want it to stay that way. Sometimes the conversations can get a little heated and people can't deal with them as much. And that can be at a spades game in most people's families. So it just depends. People have a strong idealism about certain things, and no matter who says it, no matter how many times they hear it, their mindset is, what I'm thinking is the right way, and you have major issues. And so we're living in a time where there are a lot of people out there that just lose their mind over the simplest little things. But for those that have their minds open and welcome the different perspectives, then I hope they just enjoyed our little free fall of assessments of different things.
Now, if they start turning over tables, then we know.
Yeah.
Like they do in a spades game, then we know it's about to go down.
Julie, I want to invite you back to my spades game then.
Can somebody invite Tassie because she gets kicked out. She loses her card all the time. She just, I don't know. She just loses her poor thing. She just, I don't know how.
Talking about disparities of women, is that because she's a woman that she gets thrown out?
No, that's because my child wasn't brought up the way I was. So, yeah, she crazy, Jeff. You got to tell the whole world. But still, Tassie, I come from a family of spades and bidwits and that type. So I played cards with my uncle. We're the people that stand up and slap the card down on the table and stuff. You don't just slide your card on the table when you're playing spades. That's not part of the spades game. And so she loses her black card on occasion when she try to play spades with her friends. So if y'all could just help out a little bit, I would appreciate it.
I would love
I
would love to see Tassie put that spade on her forehead.
Oh, yes, right here, baby, right here. Right here. See, I'm one of those people. My uncles, I was riding down with my uncles for forever. So I'm one of those. I'm the one that will sit at the table and put my hands and tell you to rise up out of the seat when I know I beat you up. So that's why I cannot figure out how my child did not inherit that little thing.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Jeff. You know my baby more than anybody else do.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna let her. We're gonna have to bring her on the show one day. But we're gonna have to give her like a 25-second delay. So when she cut up, we'll be able to edit it out. When she gets started.
She gets hyper. Right. But I just think that all those different things are part of our culture of who we are and where we come from. And you can almost tell by the different things that we do from a general region of where we're from. There are just some things that we do. And and it is, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like my mom's generation, they made things fun. And I really wonder sometimes if my generation, if we're taking that part away from our kids, you know, I don't know. Jeff, Chanel, you guys have kids. There's like, do you feel that there's some little different things about that in family sector that's kind of missing in some of the generation
So for me, I try to keep tradition. Like you said, growing up, we would have game night, we'd have movie night, we'd have, those different type of fun things. And then for my family, we travel. That's my thing. My travel business is my legacy. And the things that we do and expose our children to are those traditions that we're instilling in them that hopefully they'll continue on with, the generations to come. So we try, we're in a digital age, and it's an Xbox and it's a TikTok and a Snapchat, all around, unfortunately. But we do, my husband and I try to incorporate those, traditions that we grew up with as best as we can.
Jeff?
Well, my thing is he just can't go out and play like I used to be able to play.
Yep.
Going outside back in the day was a job for us. We left the house at 8 in the morning. We came home to eat, and then we stayed out until the streetlights came on.
Yeah.
And my mother didn't know where I was. She just knew I was outside. She didn't know. Man, we were all over the city. I mean, we were everywhere. We had our little twin Stingrays, and we would just ride all over town. And she had no clue where I was. Man, he can't go out today without me knowing exactly where he is. And see, I think that's pretty sad that he can't just play and explore like I used to. So I think that's a huge thing. And I remember Halloween was just fun.
Yeah.
We could just do little stuff like that. They just can't do like we used to. So I think they just are missing out on so much. But they don't know what they don't know. But I feel kind of bad for the kids coming up today because they just don't have the same freedoms that we did. For punishment for us was making us stay in the house.
Yep.
And today, punishment for kids is making them go outside. It's the opposite. And I have so much fun just being outside, running around playing, but they can't do that. I got to take him out every day, me and him. I have to take him out and go bike around with him. It's like, come on, dude, I'm tired. I want to stay home and do some work. But no, I got to go out and play because he got to go out and play. So it's like, God. That's just how it is nowadays. It's just different.
But isn't that something, Jeff, how it has changed over the years? I was just talking earlier with someone about kids these days, especially during COVID, how they, most kids have been sleeping, don't get up to 10, 11 o'clock. And I said, oh my God, if I slept that long, my whole body would be like, what are we doing here? I can't do that. But when we grew up, you're right. It was like a job. You get up, you get ready for school, you go to school, you come home, you change your clothes, get out of your school clothes, and then, do your choice. And then you go outside and play and then come back when the street light come on. You better be on the porch when the street light came on. But kids these days, nope, not happening. I just want to sleep.
Jeff, it's funny. My 6-year-old, I put him outside yesterday because he was cutting up. So
outside.
Go outside. That's your punishment. Because it's hot or it's bugs, and they're just so spoiled. It really, and I'm to blame. But yeah, back in the day we were outside all day, every day. Now, no.
And you tell them like our parents used to tell us out there in the bugs. Them bugs ain't nothing but protein. If you put one fly out, it's just protein. Go ahead, you'll be all right.
Or remember that phrase, you smell like outside.
Oh yeah.
You can't say that to a kid today. You smell like the kitchen. You don't smell like outside. You smell like the living room.
Microwave.
You smell like the microwave. You smell like a hot pocket.
Julie, you see what you started?
They are so privileged.
They gotta make light of it. But I want to go back to what Chanel said. Chanel, your fact is correct. I've been Googling while we've been talking.
Oh.
So according to what it says, the United States Department of Agriculture, non-Hispanic whites make up 36.2% of the 44 million who are on they call it the SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
What does that compare to African American?
25.6. Hispanics is next, 17.2. There it is.
Drops mic.
Thank you for that one. Hey,
So
quick
they,
question.
so in other words, they need to go outside and play.
Go outside.
Yes, put them on punishment, Julie.
What about punishment?
So Chanel, I have to agree with you. I realized because I was outside, I was a tomboy person. I was always outside, you know. And there was a street light. You can hear that baby when it started flickering. It was time to go. We scattered like roaches. And I see too how I kept Tasi sheltered growing up. And I kept a certain circle around me when she was growing up as well. And so she wasn't exposed to a lot of those different things. And I think that's why she adapts to being such a homebody now, even though she has her moments where she just wants to go and hang, and she'll do that for a week or two, and then it takes a month and a half to recover from it. But you know, it's different. What I like seeing about her and her friends, they're getting into this structured mode, right? Like Tati just turned 28, and to see what she's doing, what she's inspiring to do, I really enjoy that. And I think that's different because when I was her age, I just had her. And so that flip side, when you see your child, it's like, oh my God, she's the age I was when I had her, and look what she's doing with her life. Like, you know, she's not doing it, and it's a great feeling. So I know you and Jeff still have some years to go, and I just can't wait to see Jeff's son. I think he's probably going to end up being like the next, like Bill Gates on its flip side for everything that Jeff is teaching him. So that's going to be so awesome, you guys. And having kids and being able to share that level of traveling with them, that to me broadens their horizon as well, Chanel. So that's great that's your, you know, that's that one thing that they're consistent with them, because there's nothing like traveling. What were you going to say, Jeff?
Yeah, I was gonna say two things. First off, you said you had her sheltered. You didn't have much of a choice. Unfortunately, you didn't have much of a choice but to shelter her, because the world is even going kind of crazy back then. And I remember, you know, I was around y'all when you had her. She was like 6.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just you two, so you had no choice but to keep her close. I mean, y'all were like super tight. I mean, it was just amazing the bond y'all had. So you had to keep her close, and she wanted to stay with you, and you were working so hard and working multiple jobs, so you had to keep her close. You know, she kept you going. You had to keep her safe, you know, period. So you did great, to be honest with you, based on, you know, what you had to go through. Now, as for me and my son, I met my father once when I was 12, and hadn't seen him since. And I still have this deep-seated hatred for him, and I'm not being, I'm just being real. I don't like him for that very reason, because I'm an only child, and I saw what my mother went through raising me by herself, and I was a handful. I was one of them types that's all up under her, and just I don't know how, she had no breaks. No breaks with me, and my son's the same way with me, so I guess it's payback. But what I'm doing with him is I'm trying to teach him things that I wish I had a male father do with me. Show me different stuff. Show me business type stuff. You know, show me all these different things that I wish someone would have taught me when I was younger, because everything I know now, I pretty much taught myself by just learning, just watching and seeking knowledge myself. I want to expose him to different things. So, because I'm not going to be here forever. So when I'm going, I want him to have that foundation. So that's where my motivation comes from. It comes from not having. So I want to give him what I did not have. So.
And you're doing a great job, Jeff. I mean, absolutely doing a great job. I think it's 3, actually no, it's 4 parents. Yeah, so all of us, there's 4 parents. And Julie's going to be the honorary godmother, everybody, because she nodded. Yes, this is
Well,
good. She looked like
tell
she's
Julie,
nodding to say
Come get them.
She say, "Come get him."
Free
you
shipping.
owe me.
I got free shipping. Look.
Oh, she gone again.
Oh, Julie,
She
go
left.
again.
See, there she go.
I ran out.
Reparations and taking care of kids. Them the two buzz phrases. You want to get rid of Julie?
Off the hooker.
There you go. And she ain't came back yet. Oh, there she go.
Julie said, kids, oh no, bye.
Yeah.
No, I can't say that because I come from a big family and I have enough nieces and nephews that they count as my children. So, I love messing with y'all.
Yeah, but I think that's just, I don't know, just being a parent to me, I don't know, it's just, you're never really thinking you're prepared for it when it happens, but the minute it happens, you don't know how you live your life without being a parent. I don't know, just to me, and I tell my daughter this all the time is, and I've said this several times to people too, is like the person you see in front of you, that the person that each and every one of you met at a certain time, I'm that person because God made me her mother. I can't even say that I would be doing the things that I'm doing, have done the things that I've done, if it wasn't for, being a single mom, trying to inspire, trying to show her the differences that, even without a father, like Jeff says, Jeff knows that whole process. But even without a father, my job, what my mother told me too was, your job is not to chase a man around to make him remind himself he has a child. Your job is to make sure that this child doesn't want or need anything because he's not there. And so that was the first thing she taught me, maybe 2 hours after I found out I was having my daughter. And I lived my life that way, that my daughter didn't want for anything just because I was the only person giving it to her. So for that, it's just amazing. I'm actually scared for the fact that my baby's all grown up now. And if y'all want to send her text messages saying that mommy wants her grandbaby or something like that, that'd be cool. I appreciate it. She's not having it yet.
Listen, I'm not going to get into that sideways procreation right there. But I will say, Jeff, I can identify with you about, my biological father. I had an encounter with him when I was about 12. And then when I was about 22, I was introduced to a couple of brothers that I had been to school with all my life. And we didn't know it. And I want to say that like that so I can not segue, but so I can, in ode to how our show started tonight, it's amazing the women that have been constant in my life, and like Julie said, without getting too biblical, that Proverbs 31 woman is a very entrepreneurial, skilled woman that can take 15 cents and make $1. Chanel, that just happens to be the difference between black women and white women. What they make on the dollar is 15 cents. Mm-hmm. And like you said earlier, Chanel, we're not chasing just a pats on the backs and atta girls, just recognition, equality. I want $1 for $1. I don't want 62 cents for $1. You know what I mean? I want what everything about me presents. And when Jeff mentioned that, it made me just think of, just the importance of like what we're seeing even in the vice president candidate, the importance of it. And like all these stories that we're just coming through with, there's a couple of constant people in the theme. And one of them is this very strong woman that always is around, and how appreciative we are. She's so smart. She can make stuff, even meals, out of things that you like, that ain't no meal. And it turns into a meal and come up with monies and not lose her ethics and all kind of other stuff and whatever the case may be. But it's some constants in there, and that's some of the thankful for the visuals like we're seeing now with the vice president candidate.
And if I may add too, speaking of strong women, my mother was one of them because I think I was 9 years old when my dad passed. I'm the youngest of seven. And then there's 5 years difference between me and my younger brother, who's older than me. But when my father passed at 9, when I tell you my mother never remarried, she never brought another man in the house until after we were out of high school, because she wanted to set that example of not having all of these people coming in and out your house and raising 7 children. You can imagine back then, raising 7 children by herself, you know, without a husband. And I think I turned out okay. And my brothers and sisters whatever, Jim. My brothers and sisters, they all turned out okay, very successful in their own rights. You don't find that often, women who just set aside their life and dedicate it to their children, no matter what, you know. So I think if we as women come together and support each other and really do that, I think it'll make a difference in our children's life. So, and going back to the disparities of women, she was a strong woman and had to sacrifice a lot to get us where we are today. So, even though she's in heaven looking down, I just want to say thank you, Mom, for everything that you've done for me and all of the women that I surround myself with. So
I think, I was joking with you, of course, but yeah, I think we need to see more of that. We see so many negative. This is my problem with the media. They only show one side of the equation. We need to see that balance. I have no problem. I have no problem with Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, all that, but I want to see more of the business professional women also. If you want to be like Cardi B, that's fine. But you also should have the option of seeing someone like Kamala Harris. There are hundreds of Kamala Harrises, thousands of CEOs out there, women of color who are doing some amazing things. We need to see more of that. That's one of the big problems that I have with the media and in our community, because like Julie said, your mother was amazing. My mother's amazing. Chanel, you come from a tribal family. Your family's amazing. Dion, you come from a religious family. Your family's amazing. Alethea, everyone's family is amazing, but we don't see that in the media. We see the negativity. If we could see more of the positivity and some of the amazing things we've done, that'll give people more incentive to branch out and do more amazing things. Like, for example, most Black kids, youth, they want to be either rappers or athletes. Nothing wrong with that, but you can take kids of other races and they could be, they could want to be like Larry Bird or Jokic, who plays basketball, but they could also turn out and look at Mark Zuckerberg. They could see him, they could see Steve Jobs, they could see all these different people who are doing some amazing things in all these different areas. And we don't get to see that as much as we should. So we could see that balance. That's why Kamala's so important. And unfortunately, a lot of people putting so much weight on her because she's like so far out in the forefront. But there are a lot of other women in politics and just in business who are doing some amazing things too that people need to see, but they don't see it. And that is a huge, huge problem in our community that we need to rectify.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. And Julie, by the way, I think you're better than okay. I think you're absolutely magnificent. And I feel blessed to be a part of your life and have your friendship.
Oh, you about to make my glasses fog up.
Oh, no.
No, that's, after hearing what you were saying about you and your daughter and, how close you are and the things and sacrifices that you had to do for her just reminded me of my mother. And so I say all of that to say you are a strong Black woman, businesswoman, very smart woman. Oh my goodness. Strong-willed. And so publicly to say thank you for being who you are and just walking in your gift. As well as you, Chanel. As Black women, we need to encourage each other. Walk in your purpose, walk in your God-given talent, walk in that space that God has laid out for all of us. And let's be the best that we can be.
I tell my daughter that all the time to her friends. queens lift queens.
Well said.
Yes, well
Yeah,
said.
well said.
Mhm.
Well,
I would
look,
like to say this
guys.
too. I would like to say this too, Jeff. I think like even what you were talking about, what everybody has said, I think a microcosm of is our panel. We have three highly intelligent Black women that run their own thing. That is out of us five, that is 60% of this panel. I think that's really how it looks, but it's not reported like that, you know, and things of that nature. And just saying what Julie said, I'm just is to be a part of this right here. You know, we're doing the work. We're doing the right work. We're doing the not just the right work, we're doing the real work, like the reality. This is reality. What we're looking at is reality. You know, most of our women are not a certain way. They are like this that we see. They're enterprising and full of ambition and going after it the way that they have been given access and opportunity and improving. And I'm glad to be a part of this moment in history, even again, reflecting on our vice president candidate, Kamala Harris and all that. It's awesome, brother.
Yeah. I also want to say, as an entrepreneur, for the last, it's been since September, since I retired from corporate America, the skills and the gifts that I brought to corporate America then, when I tell you, I feel much more powerful now walking in what I was doing then, but no one else really felt the way that I do. It's amazing. It's amazing feeling in the world that when somebody can, try to discredit your character and make you feel less than, but then when you step out on your own and you find people who says, I want that skill, you're incredible, this and that, and doing, I'm more powerful now than I was when I was corporate America. So we always, as women, we always want to go up the ladder. Well, you are your ladder. As an entrepreneur, you are your ladder. So.
And I touch on that 1 second. I think that's what's missing in our communities. Yes, we want the equality. Yes, we want the equal pay. But like I told you guys before we started recording, I have become desensitized because I know that some of these things have been going on for so long that it's going to be very hard to change it. Slight tangent. You guys know I love house music. I listen to house music. And during the house music, sometimes they'll play speeches of Dr. King. And that's a great way to hear Dr. King. So anyway, they were playing a speech from 1963. And he was talking about, and you could have swore he was talking about today. And it's like, okay, it's 50 some odd years later, and he's talking about things that are still relevant today. That is a major problem. So my point is, we are waiting on them to pay us equally, the equality, and to break the glass ceiling. Well, chances are they're going to resist to the end. So just like Julie just said, she's happy being an entrepreneur. If they are not going to give us what we need to take our skills and build our own and employ our own and grow our own and pay ourselves what we need to be paid. We can't keep waiting or in some instances begging and pleading for them to treat us as equals. You're not going to do it. Okay, I get it. We're not going to get our reparations. Okay, I get it. I get it. I'm going to get my own. I'm not going to keep waiting on you to help me. So when you say you so much better off as an entrepreneur, I believe it. And also what I learned just from being in corporate America, I use those skills that I learned in corporate America, and they are astronomically huge in what I do nowadays, and I took the skills that I learned. It's almost like I was in school when I was in corporate America. I was learning, I was growing. And when I was ready, I was able to do my own thing, but I used those skills that I was taught in corporate America, even if I was underpaid, to do what I'm doing today. So yeah, I agree with you 100%, Julie. And you guys, everyone else on the panel is an entrepreneur too, so you can probably relate to what I'm saying. But I think that's a huge aspect of our lives that are missing that we need to tap into, and that would truly eliminate some of the issues that we're having.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jeff. And when you brought that up, I just realized that since we've been doing the show, I know Julie and I have talked about the correlation between our corporate America experiences that led us to entrepreneurship. We know what led you, we know what led Dion, but I don't think Chanel ever shared how did she come about the passion for to have her own travel agency. So Chanel, would you like to share that with us? Because I'm sure there should be some people out there that would definitely love to know how did you transition into that?
Sure. Well, I'm give you the short version because it could be quite lengthy. But as I mentioned, we grew up traveling. I grew up in Long Island, but we had family in Virginia, and we go out to the Poconos and DC. So we always traveled. I mean, it was road trips. But I yearned for that. I was always going somewhere, and just that experience that I had with my parents, my grandparents, was something that I look forward to. Fast forward, um, graduated high school, went to Cancun, and I just thought that was it. I called my mom, I was like, I'm not coming back. It's amazing here. I could drink. I'm 18, I could drink. It was amazing. Never wanted to come back. I came back, but I traveled. I would always go somewhere. But what was really, what pivoted for me was when I went to Africa in about 2005, 6, 7. That was life changing. We would see on TV, Africa this and, the safaris that, but it was remarkable. It was really an experience that changed my life. And I wanted people to see this. I said, everybody has to come here. The world is so beautiful and it's not what you see on TV. So I came home and I raved about it and all the other places that I went and, friends and family would see, well, you're always going somewhere. Help me plan a trip here, or I'm thinking about going here. What are your thoughts there? And I would do it for a while, plan a couple trips here or there for friends and family. And then I said, well, wait a minute, hold up. It's nice, but I'm not getting paid for this. So then the two kind of married, my passion and desire and love for travel, and the opportunity to turn this into a lucrative business, and then throw in, I started, having children and then the legacy aspect of it. So that's kind of how it started. The passion and desire was always there. And then the opportunities, like I said, nobody's going to pay me what I'm worth. So create my own opportunity. And that's kind of how Moonglow Travel was birthed, so to speak. There's a lot more. I'm kind of skipping around and jumping to it, but that's kind of ultimately how it came about.
And what inspired the name?
I love the moon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the moon. I'm just super passionate about the moon. Just the evolution, the changes, the lunar experience of the moon is kind of what sparked it. And then moon glade is the moon's reflection in the water. So I think the moon and the water are two things that, two elements that I really enjoy. So that's kind of how we put the name together, per se. But one more thing I wanted to add about starting the business. I thought about it. I wanted to do it, but I didn't have any professional travel. I never worked for a travel agency. I didn't get a degree in the travel and tourism. So I kind of held myself back for many years, actually starting the business. I was like, well, I can't, I'm not knowledgeable. I don't have any credentials or anything like that. So what I did was just kind of doing research. I kind of knew that the basics, did some research. We do have what's called an industry certification where you can get your certified travel associate's certificate. So I took the course. It took about 12 months. It's kind of self-paced. And then I took the exam and I was terrified. I was like, I'm not going to pass it. Oh my gosh, what's happened? Literally took the exam. I passed it. And that was what my spark was. I said, oh, I can do this. It's on. Next day, I applied for my business license to the state to get my LLC, and it's been on and popping for the last 5 years. So I think the background to that is don't hold yourself back. Keep going, even when you think that you can't, or even when those barriers, whether it's, education or the knowledge aspect or the connections or money. I started my business. I had just gotten married. I had just had a baby. I wasn't even thinking about starting a business, but started with coins in my pocket, and you go from there. So it's been a road.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Janelle. And I love now the name and how you came about it. And so that's cool. So people have more of a background, and I'm sure someone will be inspired too, because you don't think often that we have travel agencies, right? So to hearing your story, people will say, okay, that's another opportunity that I can try to go for. And hopefully soon Chanel will be doing a webinar
Oh,
club. Julie, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to be facetious and say maybe Chanel got inspired by Jeff's presentation where he talks about the moon and the sun and all of that good stuff. And
It's so funny because I love astronomy because the nighttime is like my peace time. And I will literally sit on my patio and I look at the moon and I listen to my audiobooks and it's quiet, it's dark. And I look at the moon and I don't know, Chanel, you may know this. I don't know if you guys may know, but a couple of weeks ago, you could see Saturn and Jupiter right next to the moon. And I sit there and I just like, wow, they're just so beautiful. So I'm a huge astronomy buff. I'm like a astronomy nerd. I love that kind of stuff. But so when you said the moon, I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And then we learn something about each other every day. And we've been going at this for 4 or 5 months now. It's been about 4 or 5 months.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Doesn't
so
even
we started in April, May, June, July, August. 5 months.
wow. Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Technically, we've already crossed the number for 20 shows, but we have 3 more shows to go before we actually hit 20 live shows. So if we account from when we was on Blog Talk Radio to now, we've done over 20 shows.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an honor to be on with you guys. I really enjoy just talking and conversating with each of you. I learned so much and I just enjoy the conversation. You guys are fantastic. So I love it.
I love it too, Jeff. It's such a great connection with everybody.
I would agree 100%.
So I know we lost Dion already. So you guys, I think that's a good segue to end the show and save more conversation for next week. So this has been another great show, another great topic of conversation. We've hit several different conversations tonight and they've all been great. And I enjoy being here every week with you guys. I look forward to it constantly. I love the laughs and the knowledge that we share every week. And so I'm looking forward again to next week.
We should start taking bets and see who gets us off topic first. I think Chanel did it this today. Yeah, it was you. So, and then I don't know who went next, but next week we'll see who does it next. We'll start placing some bets. But you know what though? The conversations are all great though. So I don't mind when we veer. It just, I love it because it's like unmasking unscripted. So, and I just enjoy listening to you guys talk. That's why I be on mute. I just like to listen. I enjoy the conversation.
We may veer off, but it always circles back around to the main.
It does. That just shows how smart we are, honestly. The intelligence, we're able to bring it back and not just go off on a tangent, just get off the rails. So yeah, I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it.
It's so organic, though. I mean, that's what the topic is, conversations. And that's what we do. I need Alethea's run a show scripts that we used to have. Those used to keep me on task.
No, we don't need that. Let's just keep it going.
But like you said, it's real conversations. And when you're sitting around with your friends, you're going to talk about 2 or 3 different things. And then you come back, well, man, what was I talking about? So that's the purity of it. I love it too.
Spontaneous and genuine.
Yes.
Spontaneous and genuine.
Real conversations.
With entrepreneurs.
With entrepreneurs.
That's right.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.
Night.
Bye.